The hardest part of entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is that transition from old life to new life. Once you transition to the new life, there's different problems that happen, but at least it's less confusing because you're not being pulled in so many directions. Like, in my opinion, when you go full-time in your business, you wake up in the morning and you just go to yourself, okay, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. What am I going to do with my day? What am I going to do with my time? What's important to me? What's not? What's going on, everybody? Can you hear me all right? Yeah, thumbs up. Awesome. What's up? What's up? Let me know how you're doing, how you're feeling in the chat. Super pumped for today's call. We're going to jam out. All of you parents with your babies and all your things going on, respect. That's all I got to say. Mad love, mad respect, making it happen. No excuses. I love to see that. It's exactly what you need to do to live the life that you've always desired, right? All right. So I'm pumped. I'm excited. Just celebrated 10 years of freedom. What? 10 years of freedom, man. I'm only 37. What is up with that? I've been free since 27. You serious? Oh, man, it's such a trip. You know, I remember what it was like in the beginning when it was all just a dream. It was all just a dream. What if someone like me could live like that? You know, how many of you guys have had that thought or having that thought right now? What if someone just like me can make this happen, right? I know that feeling. It all came back. And I recorded a podcast, actually, that's coming out tomorrow morning. For those of you that are listening to my podcast, you're going to be really, really stoked. I get fired up. I don't think I've been that fired up on my podcast since it came out. Like, I'm talking like ripping people a new one and then telling you it's going to be okay as it heals. It's going to be so good. But basically, I'm just telling it how it is, right? I went back to that early part of my journey when I was transitioning from a job. How many of you guys right now are still in that transition season where you got a job, you have full-time responsibilities, and then you're adding in something that is requires a lot of your energy, your focus, and all of that also, right? So I get it. It feels just like yesterday, but it's been 10 years since that really, really interesting time of being excited and scared all at the same time. I'm not going to get into the full episode of what I shared right now, but definitely check out that podcast coming out tomorrow. But yeah, we went to Toronto. I for those of you that follow my Instagram and stuff, I shared a couple little clips. We were going to celebrate. We weren't sure what we were going to do. We're huge fans of Drake since the very, very early beginning. And he's been in the game now for 10 to 15 years. And what was really special for me is it wasn't just a concert, right? A lot of people are like, it's not a big deal. It's just a concert. It's like, well, there's sentimental value in certain types of people that have inspired you along the way, right? And for me, I remember when I first started listening to Drake's early music, he was in a very similar place in his life around big dreams, big goals, haters, not having supporters in what he did. And so a lot of his music actually was what I listened to when I was having some hard days. I would put on some of the like headlines and a couple of his old school tracks in the car. And it was like emotionally connected for me, right? So when we were thinking about what we can do, celebrate, quick little getaway for the weekend, and his show was in Toronto, I was like, man, this is going to be perfect. So we really had a special weekend. Just talking about, you know, my wife and I had a conversation, like how has it been for her? Because I retired my wife a year after I started my business. And so I left 7 months after. And then for those 5 months after I left my career and my wife was still a server at a restaurant, things were pretty interesting because we were living like two worlds, right? Like she was still in the old life or the old world of serving and bartending, and I'm now free. And so obviously there was this weird period of time where she was not really getting it. Like one specific thing that was really kind of funny is I was working a lot on my phone, and I wouldn't like to do very many calls. I tried to avoid calls because I could only have one conversation at a time when I did a call. Whereas on phone, I was in Messenger, I was in text, and I had all these conversations happening simultaneously. And somehow I was able to remember most of those conversations. Like, some people need a CRM system and they take all these notes and they forget things easily. I had everything like memorized. I knew who was where in the pipeline to get started and things. And I'd be on the sofa at home, literally being like, I don't have to go to the office. I don't have to wear a suit. I don't have to drive in traffic. And I'm just on the sofa, laid back in like comfy clothes, even like how I'm dressed now, just like sweats and like, whatever. And my wife would be leaving around 4 or 5 p.m. to go serve for the evening time, get home around 12, 1 a.m., something like this. And she'd be all dressed up in her like outfit for work. And I'd be like, bye, babe. And in her perspective was I'm on my phone, right? Like laying on the sofa on my phone, like scrolling or wasting time watching cat videos or something. But I wasn't. I was hustling like crazy. So there was an interesting period there. And then the ironic part about it is the first 6 months after I left my career, I was in a state of like do or die, like fight or flight every single day. I woke up in the morning, and even if I had an awesome day the day before, I felt like I didn't do enough, right? I was like, I didn't do enough. I didn't work as hard as I could have. I could have closed more sales. I could have done more presentations. I could have got more leads. So I was never, ever, ever giving myself any praise, any credit, any props, nothing. I was like, Balazs, step the fuck up. What you did yesterday is not good enough. You want to be full-time in your business? You want to live a life of your dreams? Yesterday was not fucking enough. That was how I talked to myself. And then my wife would ask me like, how was your day, babe? I'd be like, oh, it was great. I would never show any signs of weakness, ever show any signs of stress to her. But then I'd go in my office, close the door, and I'd be like pulling my hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh, nobody's buying. None of these financing things are going through. Everybody's telling me they're going to start, but then nobody ends up starting. I'm counting money before I receive the actual sale or the commission. Like, I was in a really messed up, like mental, like hamster wheel, I guess you could say. And then interestingly enough, what was one of my really big shifts that got me to really take off in my business was when I told my wife that she doesn't have to work anymore, because then I realized like I'm technically setting her free, but I wasn't free fully yet. I was still very much a straight commission salesperson selling the products and the machines. I didn't have a lot of duplication. I didn't have a lot of leaders. I didn't have funnels. I didn't have systems. I didn't have trainings. Like, looking back now, what I did have compared to what I didn't have, I just had belief, and I had work ethic, and I had leadership, and I was going to get it done. But everything else that you guys have today, none of that was in place. So in hindsight, I was kind of crazy, to be honest, that I went full time in 7 months, because I didn't have much business doing that. But I was that person's like, give me the rock, jump on my back, and we're going all the way to the top. That was my mentality. And then when I told my wife, this isn't working, you working evenings, me working during the day, technically evenings also, because she wasn't home. So I worked till 7, 8, 9, 10 on my phone and stuff. But in my mind, I was like, this isn't working. I barely even see my girlfriend. She wasn't even my fiance or my wife at that point. And I'm like, this isn't working. Like, what's the point of us being together? She works evenings. I work all the time. We don't see each other. So I told her she can stop. I remember going to her, it was March 16th, and I went to her job when she was working on shift, and I took her flowers, this big bouquet of flowers, and I dressed all nice, put on my blazer, trying to look sharp. And I walked in the middle of her shift. It was like, yeah, towards the end of her shift or whatever. And I sat there with flowers, and she's like, what are you doing, babe? And I'm like, I brought you flowers. This is the last shift you're ever going to work in a restaurant. And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, enjoy this last couple hours. You're done. And it was so scary because like, I didn't have an insurance policy. I didn't have a guarantee. I wasn't -3. I didn't have none of that stuff, but I was like, this is what needs to happen. And then I don't know, like a new level in myself unlocked where I really just felt more responsibility, because my girlfriend, who I knew was going to eventually be my wife, mother of my children, I'm like, Well, now I got both of us to look after. There's no, her income to like lean back on if for whatever reason. And that's when things really took off. I was I was a 6A when I retired her. And what was interesting about that too was my old boss, I guess, heard about it, right? He heard that I was saying that I retired my girlfriend, and no one could believe that that was real, right? No one can believe that how old was I? 28-year-old guy was retiring his girlfriend who he didn't even put a ring on it, all that. It just didn't make a lot of sense for people. And yeah, they talked all this shit. Oh, she's not really retired. Oh, she's working the business. Oh, she's selling water machines, like all this trash talk, rumors, garbage. And I was like, nah, she isn't. She's not doing none of that. so fuck yourself. Like I was a different me back then. And that's why when I went to Drake, when you listen to some of his older music, he's very similar. He's got that mentality like he's the best before he was the best. He's like no one can mess with him, right? In his lyrics and his music. And so that's why it was cool to be like, yeah. And obviously he's on a whole completely different level than me. I'm not comparing myself to him. He's the GOAT in what he does, but it was just really, really cool to have that full circle moment. And when I was talking with my wife at the concert stuff, I remember when we were singing these songs, man, and we didn't even have shit. We weren't even anywhere near where we are now. So it was really special. And I relate to a lot of the stuff that you guys are talking about, I get it. And just keep going. That initial period, that transition period when you're living two realities is very tricky to navigate because that's exactly what's happening. You're leaving your old life behind that you were born and raised into. Most of your friends and probably your family members still live that old life, and they pretend they're happy in that old life also. And then you're the one kind of removing yourself and separating yourself, but you're also getting sucked back in by friends, by holidays, by all these things constantly. Like you're getting all these, it's the crab in the bucket mentality. And meanwhile, you're like, no, I am pretty sure this thing over here is better and I deserve it and I can create it and I'm worthy of it, but you're getting pulled back in. And I was there too. I went through a period where I was it was like a form of sabotage where people were saying, oh yeah, he's just using her and he's going to leave her when he makes more money, and like all this stuff that was not true at all, but people were just trying to mess with my plans and my goals and my dreams. So if any of that stuff is remotely familiar to you, or you're experiencing it now or recently, or you might in the future, it's normal. It's completely normal. And so don't let it get to you that you think it's you or something's wrong with you, or it's your family, or it's your friends. It's literally the majority of what most of the time people experience. Every once in a while, you'll have somebody who says, oh, my family's supportive, my spouse is supportive, my parents are supportive, my friends are supportive, my coworkers are supportive, my boss that I'm quitting and leaving, he's supportive, or something like this. But that's like 1% of the time. Usually everyone else is like, nope. I got the doubters, the haters, the people passive aggressively making comments or trying to diss my idea, all that stuff. So if that's happening to you, it's normal. Push through it, block out the noise, keep going. And yeah, so I wanted to share that a little bit to start this call today. Let me know if that's inspiring you. It's exciting for you. Hit up the chat. Let me know if you're pumped for the rest of this call. I'm going to pull up the questions for this week as well. We got a few new members as well to welcome. So I want to welcome Nicole, Linda, and Joe. It's awesome to have you here. Let me know in the comments if you are on the call live as well. And I'll just mute anybody who's unmuted. And if you just make sure that you're muted as well, that'd be sweet. So the Millers are here. What's up, the Millers? Awesome to have you. We got Linda and Nicole. So it's awesome that you guys are here hanging out. Hubby is 150% behind me, but family are doubters. Yeah, of course they are. It doesn't make sense. You're downloading a different way of thinking and downloading a different way of being and showing up in life in general. It doesn't make sense for people. You know what I mean? Like, I actually was thinking about this on the flight home. I'm like, not all income, not all money is equal, right? Like when you have to work 40 hours or 80 hours to get a paycheck, your mentality of what you're going to spend it on, how you're going to save it, or potentially even think about investing it is completely different than when you have a 30-day magic card that just gets replenished every month. You know what I mean? Like that's completely crazy. And Enagic just announced a new contest also at the beginning of October that changed things up a little bit. And so it was really crazy because I was personally on, like a lot of the people in the community are winning cash also, but I was also on the list of people winning, and it was $680 a day for the last 2 months extra US. So that was like an extra, I don't even know, 18 grand a month times 2 months is 36 grand US. I'm in Canada, so 35% on top in the exchange rate. Pretty freaking crazy, right? And that's like on top of everything else. And then now they changed it to a different contest, and that works out to be even more. I'm like, I swear Mr. Oshiro has like a mastermind where he's like, how can we give them more money on top of all the money we already give them? He's just the best, man. And Agic's literally the best. So get your mindset on this. I think sometimes when there's these contests, people kind of go, oh, well, I'm not good enough to make that cash inside the contest or whatever, some kind of limiting belief, some kind of doubt. But you have to look at this contest and actually set a goal, set a target, visualize and manifest, be like, no, I'm going to be on the daily and monthly winners list. They've even made it now where there's a handicap for people above the rank of 6A, which I know many of you are working towards, but you can win daily money. You can win in the 6A and above contest. You can win the monthly contest. Like there's just so much additional benefits to you really going all in on your business and like not making excuses and really hitting it hard, because they're going to reward those people that become producers, not just participants. A lot of people in this business, they're participants. And what I mean by that is they participate on the calls, they participate in the Facebook groups, they participate in going through the training, but that's not being a producer. That's just kind of doing the bare minimum as opposed to focusing on creating the maximum. And that's what's required, right? There's no other way to say it except for if anybody tells you that there's another way to be successful, to hit the high ranks, to have an epic life, aside from going all in, they're lying to you. You literally have to go all in. And that means that as you transition from your old life to your new life, you have to minimize the amount of energy and effort and focus that you're putting towards your old life. That's the truth. Because what happens is the list of priorities and what you focus on in your mind is going to be focusing towards what's familiar. So if you have a routine or a schedule with your kids or your wife or your spouse that is like been going for years and years and years, that's familiar. So naturally we tend to put our energy towards maintaining what is comfortable and familiar. But that means that there's a minimum amount of energy going towards where you want to be going, which is keeping you stuck without realizing it's keeping you stuck. So what you got to do is you got to starve the attention to your old life, almost like ignore it. I don't want that anymore. I don't want that routine. I don't want that schedule. I don't want to do the same thing every evening when I get home from work. Fuck that. That's my old life. I'm out. My new life is I get home from work and I work on my business. Or I wake up early, I work on my business. You know, I don't go out on the weekend, I work on my business. And that's your new life, which is building you the bridge, which is the hardest part of entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is that transition from old life to new life. Once you transition to the new life, there's different problems that happen, but at least it's less confusing because you're not being pulled in so many directions. Like, in my opinion, when you go full-time in your business, you wake up in the morning and you just go to yourself, okay, if it's meant to be, it's up to me. What am I going to do with my day? What am I going to do with my time? What's important to me? What's not? Whereas before, your intentions might be to work on your business, but then your job is, expecting you to do X, Y, Z or something like that, or things come up, or a surprise, or a family member's birthday or something. You're like, fuck, another family member's birthday. I've been to 6 birthdays this month, man. I don't got time for this shit. You know what I mean? Have you guys ever thought that as like your old life? You're at every single birthday party, every single holiday, every single anniversary, every single special occasion, and you didn't care. You actually loved it. It was the best thing ever, right? You got some drinks, you ate some food, you watched some football, you did whatever. And all of a sudden, that stuff that used to be the highlight becomes the biggest drag. Not because you don't like your family. It's because, man, that's the time to work on the business. And next thing you know, you're like, how do I have 37 second cousins and everyone's got a fucking birthday every day of the month? What is going on here, right? It starts to drive you crazy because you're like, I don't have time for this. Like, I'll send you a text, I'll send you a card or some flowers.
I would never order shirts again.
And it's like, I love you, but like, I don't have the whole day to go eat, drink, be hungover, eat dessert, be fucking fat, all these things. I don't have time for that shit. I got to work on my business. And that is where a lot of the resistance comes from, your family not supporting you, because they look at it as, oh, what, you're too good for us. Oh, you don't have time for birthdays anymore. You don't have time for barbecues anymore. You don't have time. It's like, no, it's not the point. The point is I need to remove myself from that for a season so I can go make something of myself, make something of my life. And then when I come back to this stuff 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now, then I pay for all of you to go on an international trip and fucking live it up. What's up now? What are you going to say now? Right? Like, you, instead of the barbecues in the backyard, we're going to London now. What's up now? Who's paying for that? Right? So it's like, so all of a sudden, all the trash talk comes full circle and everyone bows down and they're like, oh, yeah, okay, well, they're covering our flight hotel, you know, and you're just like, what's up? So anyway, that's how it works. And you got to be able to accept that. And if you aren't, and you're putting all your energy to your old life, which most people do, it's starving you from where you want to go. And this is the toughest part, in my opinion, that transition, because it's not natural. You're doing the thing that everybody thinks is nuts and crazy, and it doesn't make sense and all the rest of it. So anywho, I'm fired up. Can you guys tell? I'm fired up. I'm ready for the next 10 years of freedom. And most importantly, I'm ready for all of you to create your freedom. That's the thing I'm most excited about, because at this point in my journey, it's all about impact. It's all about making a difference. And every time there's one of those posts online that I see where another person quits their job, another person's free, another person hits the next level, man, that's what gets me the most fired up. I go in the kitchen and tell my wife, I'm like, babe, another person is free. And she's like, yeah. And then just fucking cheering you guys on. So that's what it's all about, my friends. Let's dive into the questions now. So anyways, I am going to dive into these questions now because we got some really fire questions like always. And they're actually quite long. You guys are getting really good at dropping like a freaking 3-pager for a question. So it's going to take me a minute to read this out, but it's good because you're giving context and I appreciate that. So not making fun of you. I'm just saying shit takes a minute to read it all. All right. Jordan, are you on here with us live? Let's see. Jordan.
Hey, Balazs.
Hey. I can't see you. Oh, there you are down there. Hey, what's up? So you're up first with your question. So you're doing a Q4 sprint. Super exciting. That's awesome. You said that, hey, Balazs, I hope you and your family are doing amazing. We are. Thanks so much. I just made my very first sale in September. Massive, huge congratulations, which I'm super excited and grateful about. Woohoo. It took me exactly 1 year to make my first sale with running ads. Beautiful. You're right on track. But ever since my first sale process began back in August, my ads have not been producing leads at all. I've tried at least over 15 different ad copies and audiences in the last 2 months with $20 per day. I'm just sharing some context. I work a full-time job, 8 to 10 hours a day. Sorry, I got some audio distortion coming through here. I think I got it now. Just make sure you're muted, please. And I work a full-time job, 8 to 10 hours a day from home, which is very high volume, while also taking care of my 11-month-old at the same time. Respect, mad respect. So I struggle a lot when it comes to time, which is why I try to leverage ads as much as possible. I know one of them has to give either organic marketing, which is only possible on the weekends, or running ads, which I'd much rather prefer. My question is, I'm stuck in an ad rut and struggling with time for organic. I was just hoping for some guidance or advice on what else I can be doing to finish out this Q4 strong. I always have a little Balazs voice in the back of my head on a daily basis that says duplicate, duplicate, duplicate. But that's the part I'm struggling with. As always, thank you so much. Awesome. So let's talk a little bit about this. Now, one of the things that often I don't have all the context, of course, so we can talk a little bit about it. But one of the things that you could definitely be doing is leveraging the time. Like, what do you do for work for those 8 to 10 hours? Are you like in the service industry or something?
No, I work from home and do you know what talent acquisition is? It's like the next step up of HR, pretty
Okay.
much.
Yeah, it's kind of like recruiting or headhunting.
Yeah, and we like take care of all of the VP hires and engineers and all of that. So it's just very high demanding.
Okay. But you're working from home
Yes, yeah.
and you have no breaks at all that you can take? Is it all calls and stuff, or can you get some breaks?
It's not calls, but it's more so of a lot of emails and chat and scheduling, like scheduling interviews, travel, all of that stuff. Like I'm constantly busy every second because I'm working 3 different teams right now. And so it's a lot. And then yeah, I'm here by myself taking care of my son, and then my husband works in the oil field for 2 to 3 weeks at a time. So it's normally just me for those 2 to 3 weeks. So that's like the window I struggle with. And obviously, when he's home for that 1 week, it's okay. But it's that 3 week period that I just have a hard time with sometimes, especially when my ads aren't working and I can't really leverage the organic side.
Gotcha. So first thing that came to mind right now is you need to outsource some things to make some space for you. So have you heard, are you in Canada or US?
US.
US. Okay. So I would go online to find like a nanny service that is part-time where they can come Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday and Thursdays, or even possibly every day for 2, 3 hours to basically help around with your son. And then take that time where you get a little bit of support to work on your business for an hour or two per day, and like fitting that in. Because the thing that you need to be able to do right now is not look at your business like it's only a weekend thing, but how you can fit it in every single day just a little bit and still focus on ads and still focus on the maximum leverage. But that will be really helpful because when you look at your potential for income, right? These nanny type services or a house cleaner or getting some of your meals to be prepared for you or anything that is taking up your time on a personal side of things, not so much your work, but anything that is like you finish 8 to 10 hours of work and then you're like cooking, cleaning, or just regular mom stuff and house stuff, is how can you get that off your plate for 15, 20, $30 an hour, finding a budget for that. So whatever the number might work for now, $500 a week or something like this, right? And I know it seems a little bit backwards where you're like, well, that's money I'm putting on ads and I can just do it myself. And I get that. This is the catch 22 in the way people think. But if you were to get more opportunities on the phone with your leads that turn into a sale and you make $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, then that 20, $30 an hour makes more sense. Does this make sense what I mean?
Yeah.
So currently, do you have anything like that in place right now?
No, no, it would just like I've thought about it, but if we went the route of even just a nanny a couple times a week, it would stretch us to like completely dead even enough to pay for bills. And, my ads are non-negotiable, so that's in there. Plus, if I were to have someone come just a couple times a week, it would just be like a flat, like that's all we have left in our bank account.
Mhm.
And I don't know how I feel about that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There's a level of sacrifice that is needed, right? Because if you create more space and you create less hats that you're wearing and less things that you're responsible for day to day by outsourcing that, or having some friends or family support you with some childcare, whatever. I don't know all your details of your life, and I'm just speaking, out loud. But the thing that you got to keep in mind there is that it wouldn't be long term necessarily. Like if you had that extra 3, 4, 5 hours a week and then you got onto some opportunities to close some sales and you generated like a $3,000 commission or something like this, then that could go towards the nanny fund, and then that would last you for 3, 4 months and you wouldn't be back at like just break even.
Right. Yeah.
So these are very powerful ways to approach things. And that's one thought that came to mind, is that
Mhm.
sometimes we feel as if we need to do everything, but it is preventing us from showing up in our business more in terms of time, focus, attention, when that money needs to be focused on buying back our time to learn the skills, to practice our ads, to be testing more creatives and videos and pictures and so on, to then give us the space to get the money and then buy back whatever we're outsourcing in terms of cash. So this is like I said, another typical opposite way of looking at things, like a contrarian perspective around what to do with our money. But in my opinion, this is the best way for us to get out of this initial period in our business where we're looking for consistency. We're looking for being able to like get sales every month on a regular basis. So I would look at it from that point of view and see where you can make some adjustments and tweaks. Even inside of your job, are you posting to stories or any type of content during the week when you have your job, or you're completely off that?
I try to for sure in the evenings, if not at like 7 a.m. where like everything really starts beginning with my little one. I normally wake up every morning at 4:30 or 5 and work on my business for about 2.5 hours. And then at nighttime, I normally get into bed around 8 and then I'll work on it for an extra like hour and a half.
You're
2
already
hours.
doing that every day right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't catch that in here. I thought you
Sorry, I
weren't.
didn't want to write like a storybook for you.
Okay,
So
no,
I try to
that's
keep it.
amazing. No, that's so awesome that you're doing that. So, okay, that changes things up a little bit, because I would still potentially look at outsourcing some stuff, but even like when is it a secret that you have a business from your job? Are they not allowed to know that you have a business, or does it not matter?
Uh, I mean, they wouldn't want to know that I'm working on it while working that job. I mean, it's not really possible anyways right now, but it would not go well.
So are
Yeah.
they watching your content? Are they watching your account when you're talking about it?
I've blocked all of the employees who've tried to follow me
Okay.
because I
The reason why I'm asking is like whatever job you guys have right now, creating content when you're at work is really, really powerful for not like what you think to like, for example, most jobs allow you to have a coffee break or a lunch break, or, you know what I mean? Like, it's normal for you to have a little bit of time during your shift where you can eat, go to the bathroom, blah, blah, blah. So technically, if it's within that time allocated, whatever that works out to, an hour a day, an hour and a half, whatever. All I'm saying is when you're right in the middle of your job, right? And making a piece of content, even if it's just B-roll, where maybe you just did like 10 calls for your client acquisition thing that you're talking about, and just kind of like being able to turn that into an ad. You know what I'm saying? Is like you're in it, you have a baby, you're working long hours, you're going to bed early or waking up early, all this kind of stuff. It really is powerful for you to be documenting that as you make that transition. So if you're not doing enough of that, that is another thing I would highly recommend you do.
Yeah, I was actually going to start doing that this week. I don't know if you remember, you told that to, I think it was Sarah on our
Mhm.
last call.
Mhm.
She's in the service industry, and you had said to start taking videos of behind the scenes and
Yes.
all the lows. And
Mhm.
that's like the most important part of your videos and content is actually showing the lows, because that's what people will resonate with the most.
Yeah. So once again, think about leverage. So as an example, you could set up your phone on a tripod beside your office or wherever you're working from home and just create a time lapse. And it would just show your life, like a day in the life. And you know, you're doing calls, you're typing, you're doing emails, you're with the baby, you're feeding the baby, you're cooking, you're doing all the things. You just set up these little time lapses, and you come from a place of blissful dissatisfaction. And what that means is that you're not necessarily throwing your job and your employer under the bus and saying like you hate your work and all these things, because that would be disrespectful to the fact that you do have a job, you are able to pay your bills, and you're not homeless, and you know life is okay, it's comfortable, it's nice, but there's something more that you want. So blissful dissatisfaction means you're grateful for your job, you're grateful to be able to work from home, you're grateful to have your son with you during the day, et cetera, et cetera. However, you have a bigger aspiration for your future. You know, you want to be able to do this, 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 and this. That doesn't really fit into the budget, your schedule, your time at the moment. So when you do a time lapse or behind the scenes video of the now, and put this blissful dissatisfaction type of caption into your ad or into your content, just being like, yeah, you know, most people would settle here. Most people be very comfortable in this type of reality and be grateful for it. And I am. However, I want to go here. That's going to be super relatable to people that are either stay-at-home moms or whatever your target avatar is. So try putting some of that content out there more. If you're not, once again, I'm not sure. And another really big piece too is when you describe what you just shared with all of us around going to bed at 8, working on your business a couple hours in the evening, waking up 4:35, working on your business a couple hours, like that's massively inspirational of what it really takes to build the life that you want to create. So when you put out content in ads, are you putting out value-based content and putting it as part of your ad spend right now?
I just started doing that. My ads also from your past calls that I've been getting, but my ads have been kind of like telling and giving all what the dream life, what people are looking for. And after your last few calls, I realized that I need to focus more on value and yeah, that side of things. So I'm currently like slowly remaking my ads and gonna start posting those.
Yeah, that's
This
beautiful.
week.
The main thing you got to keep in mind is if there's two different schools of thought around the ads. One school of thought is that you have your initial ad that someone will find with your target audience, that you're getting right into what it is that you do, a little bit about yourself, and like inviting them to take the next step, putting in their email, DMing you, watching the web class, and so forth. And that works very well for a lot of people. If you do that way, you're starting basically on the left side and working your way to the right side. No problem. But the chances of them taking that step, taking that action is a lower percentage because they don't know you, like you, or trust you yet, which then means that you want to make sure they're on your pixel. So they click it, they're curious, they watch your video, they click on your landing page, something, then they're on your pixel now, which means you can retarget them with additional content for 6 months, right? The pixel lasts for 180 days if you use Facebook, Instagram. So then that's where you want to have these videos that I'm kind of pre-framing for you, is a time lapse of your day, talking about like doing a video where it shows the time lapse of everything you do, and then putting some text over the video where it's like POV, wake up 5 a.m., be with my son, work 8 to 10 hours from home, and it shows you on the calls and the emails and everything like that. And then evening time, I get my son ready for bed. Then I work on my business. Like, this is what it requires to build the life of your dreams. Follow me for more tips on how busy moms, stay-at-home moms, or whatever the audience is, how you can manage to build a home-based online profitable business. Follow me for more tips on how I'm doing it. Follow the journey, or I'm documenting the journey, or something like this. So you're inviting them back into your world through the retargeting videos, and those ones will cost very little out of your total ad spend. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you.
And so the way you want to think about it is, if you had 6 months to build a relationship with a stranger on the internet who you would like to get to know you, like you, and trust you over this long period of time, instead of the quick, fast action of like, click my thing and buy my thing. And you know what I mean? Which is how a lot of people look at ads, is like instant, now let's go. That's not how relationships get created in life in general. It takes time, multiple conversations, you meet up, you get to know each other, you realize like you have things in common, you have rapport, you like each other, you don't like each other. It takes time in real life also. But online, the power behind this is you get to do it one to many. You get to make one video that hundreds or thousands of people get to see over that period of time. And you're inviting them into your world. So in your life, in your personal brand, what does your world consist of? Well, you've already shared some of that with us now. You know, you work for a talent acquisition job. There's pros and cons to that type of work. Talk about it. You're a mother to a 11-month-old boy. pros and cons of stay-at-home mom and young children, and how there's beautiful moments and there's challenging moments. Talk about it. You have a husband who works 2 to 3 weeks out of town in the oil rig. Talk about that. What's it like to not see him that much, and the pros and cons with that. And so what happens is someone just starts to get to know these different pieces of your life. How do you fit in health and wellness? What is important to you regarding what you eat? What are some passions that maybe you don't have time for, but you can't wait until you do? Maybe it's something like a travel or a sport, or I don't know, whatever. So as you start to share these micro pieces of content in your pixel, this person goes, you know what? She's just like me. She's just like me. She struggles like me. She goes through similar things like me. She wants to experience similar things to me. I got to learn what she's working on. And then you can have an invitation in your ads. And also, like, when I say ads, I just mean you're putting some money behind it. But you can have an invitation of like, do you want some accountability? Do you want me to teach you what I've been able to learn? Do you want me to introduce you to my community of people that are doing the same thing, where like there's thousands of us all over the world doing this? And then it becomes an invitation as opposed to a sale pitch, if that makes sense. And by you having that invitation, it can really change things for people, because if you get an invitation to a party in the mail and you don't go, it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you're choosing yes or no. I accept the invitation, or no, thank you. And so that's a couple of tips for what I think you can be doing. Other than that, it sounds like I just want to reassure you that your level of commitment, the mornings, the nights, the weekends, your circumstances with an 11-month-old, the fact your husband's out of town for, a big chunk of the time, you're doing amazing. So I just want to reassure you that you're doing amazing. You've been doing this for a year, which I know can feel like a really, really long time, and that you're behind and it's hard and it's not quite clicking, but you're doing exactly the right things. I just want to reassure you that. So keep testing, keep being positive, keep documenting the journey, keep sharing behind the scenes, the good, the bad, the ups and downs, and it will all start to click, because you already are an inspiring example of what is possible when you go all in on your dreams and your vision. You already are that. You don't need to be making lots of sales. You don't need to be a high rank to be an inspiring example. You already are that right now. And you've just inspired everybody on this call as well. I already know that, because I'm super inspired by you as well, because I was never in your situation. You know what I mean? Like, I built my business way before my daughter was born, way before a lot of these things, because I had the foresight and anticipation of that stuff. So for you to be building it while you're in the middle of a lot of those things that you described is just massively inspirational. So keep going. I believe in you. I know you're going to crack the code, and don't be so attached to your 90-day sprint around your Q4 thing around only sales. I know that it matters, and I'm sure you will get some sales also, but focus more on just like progress, growth, learning new skills, really putting in the groundwork to lay that foundation, and reward yourself based on that. Don't beat yourself up only because if sales are taking longer than you think. Like, you are literally going through this transformation of cocoon to like butterfly right now, and it's beautiful to watch. So keep doing it.